Beautiful.
29 years of service.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Let's see.
I appreciate it.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
That'll be good.
Here, I'll hold it while you say something.
Yeah.
That speaker right there.
Yeah, we got a speaker right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, thank you so much. I appreciate the community's support over the years. Thank the council, the mayor, town manager for their support. Of course, my staff. It's been an amazing journey. 29 years, 28 years, 7 months. It's been certainly a long time. So, as I said earlier, it's half of my life I spent here serving this community. So with that said, thank you again. Thank you for supporting. And God bless you all. Thank you. Thanks, all.
Now, you got somebody out there that can tell you which wall you can put it on. Okay, the next one is Phil Voorhees. I think everybody knows by now. He is our new chief to be. And so if he'll come forward, we'll see if we can't get him sworn in and have his family and all to come with him.
We're ready.
How many you want to have come? All of them, right? If you want to.
Yes, if we, let's all of them.
Yeah.
Take them blue.
We got a whole lot of them.
That's, I'm gonna get him over here. I'm gonna just leave it.
We have a lot of children.
You can replace it.
That's all right. Come on up here. Get her come here, and then who you want to hold the Bible? Okay.
Hold on, Doug. Let me turn this mic around.
Well, we won't be able to bring it out here, so
But they'll probably hear it.
I can talk loud enough. And I think he probably knows this anyway, don't you?
Sure he does.
Heard
He's
it
heard it
29
many times.
Okay. Phil, if you will, repeat after me. I, Philip J. Voorhees,
I, Philip J. Voorhees,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States.
Constitution of the United States.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true
and
allegiance
bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are and may be established
which are and may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and ability.
and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. You got skin in there. Marine style.
Congratulations.
Okay, our new chief.
Wait a minute, he's got to get them bars put on the top.
You got to get it. Yeah, she'll do that.
Take them lieutenant bars off.
Yeah. My glasses.
Uh-oh.
You're getting old.
Look who's talking.
Yeah. You probably do better than I do, please.
Okay, now you can make your speech.
You told me I had an hour, right?
Right.
Right, so I promise I'll be brief.
Yeah.
Just a few people I'd like to thank. Mr. Brewer, thank you for your support. Always appreciate it. The council, you guys have been great to us. I always appreciate it. Brian, always been a good friend to me. Chief Shanahan, thank you so much. A little bit of an emotional day for me. It's been a long journey. I want to thank my family for being here. I love all of you. That's all. Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming.
Good job, and looking forward to all the great things you're going to do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and she'll be your backup.
Oh, yeah.
A beautiful young lady. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Congratulations.
Not sitting there. All right, all kind of excitement today.
We didn't take any pictures like I told you.
Buddy, you like some. You like some.
All right. As you know, we have a beautification and enhancement committee. And each month they pick a business of the month and a home of the month. And I don't see them, but is there anybody here from Herring's Tackle Shop? Or Herring's Outdoor Sports?
I don't see anybody.
I don't see anybody either, but they got business of the month. 919 South Shore Drive got the home of the month. And that's one that they repaired after the hurricane, and they did a fantastic job of repairing it. So, nice looking home. So anyway, if you, of course, they'll have the signs in the yards too. So if you see the sign, stop in and tell them congratulations when you go by. All righty. And next is, the remarks. As we ask that all attendants in attendance set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode, the council offers the public an opportunity to speak during the meeting. And comments should be limited to 3 minutes, and each must be directly or issue oriented with agenda items for this meeting, or issued upon the council as issued for the council as control. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they signed up. Speaker will address the comments to the board as a whole, one at a time, one individual council member. You cannot address it to one individual council member. Speakers will address the council from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Discussion between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Groups of individuals speaking on same subject should be pick one individual speaker to represent the group as a whole. Public comment is not intended to require the council to address any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. Any comments for the purpose is to promote business or candidacy is not allowed. In accordance with the council's adopted rules of procedures, council members shall reserve responses, if any, to council forum, till the council forum on the agenda. Okay, approval of minutes. Agenda. Okay, do I have an approval for the agenda?
I make a motion, we approve.
All in favor, raise your hand. Do I have an approval for consent agenda?
I'll make that a motion also.
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, now we're ready for public comment.
First, we have Kathleen Sumner from 204B North Boca Bay Lane.
Thank you, council and citizens here today. First, I want to say, Mayor, your beard makes you look so nice. COVID was very good to you. I also want to thank Kyle, our town manager, who's done a lot of good things for our community, which on the island, which I greatly appreciate. And the council has come a very long way and done some very good things during COVID and the projected good things that are coming up in this next year, which I really appreciate. I also, again, want to thank Chief Shanahan, because the one comment I remember from Chief when I was running, I've been here 5 years now, but when I was running for election,
Right.
I had something in my tire and I took it to him and he goes, "Huh, that's a head scratcher." And that's the only comment I really will always remember with Chief Shanahan.
Yes.
But I'm going to talk today because I'm requesting, there's an item on the agenda and I'll wait and reserve it for later if the council would like me to. I would like to request on the Tiffany's rezoning that the council consider remanding it back to the planning board so that we can have proper notice as adjacent homeowners, and their concerns that we have that I will bring up at that time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Who's next, Carl?
We have Garrett Cox from 209 Roland Avenue.
Yeah, I'll reserve my comments for when we have time to discuss the Tiffany's.
Okay. All right. Anybody else on the public comment?
No.
That was it? Okay. All right. Now we will go into public hearing. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
I make a motion, we go into public hearing.
All right. I have a second.
Second.
And all in favor, raise your hand. This is for public hearing on the annexation of Michael Ellis' 3 properties and a specific annexation request. You want to come up here and talk about it? Amy?
I can.
Please.
Okay, yeah, come up here and explain it. And then you just want to stay up here then. Let me get you a seat.
I'll just sit down when I need to. Podium's still not big enough.
Blame Kyle.
Kyle. Alright.
So Mr. Ellis is requesting the annexation of...
Is your speaker, is your...
Oh, sorry, is that better?
Yes. I mean, I could hear you, but you're facing me.
Alright. Sorry. I don't normally speak at this part, so I gotta get to it.
Well, I think since we've got some questions, I think we need to explain
Yeah.
what we're doing.
So Mr. Ellis is requesting the annexation of 3 different properties tonight. We will talk about the one on 210 first. That is the piece of property that y'all noticed that has been cleared along 210. If you're going out, it's on the right-hand side. That piece of property is approximately 6.32 acres. And based on the planning board, we took this to planning board last month, and based on the comprehensive land use plan, we recommend residential through that district. So the planning board is recommending an R10 zoning for that, knowing that Mr. Ellis does want to put boat storage on that property. Boat storage is not a straight by right in any of our zoning districts. It is allowed in C3 with a special use permit only. So instead of changing the comprehensive land use plan twice, we went ahead and recommended the R10 at this time. and then anticipate that Mr. Ellis will come back in at the time that he's ready to move forward with his project and request either a conditional zoning based on the site plan or request C3 with a special use permit. I was concerned with zoning a vacant piece of property as C3 in that area due to some of the limited site distances and whatnot, and the intensity that could be developed in C3. Our C3 is our most intense land use with, you know, it's where the Walmarts can go, the Targets, the gas stations and whatnot. So I felt comfortable requesting an R10 with the knowledge that we will come back and look at this possibly with a conditional zoning permit when he's ready to move forward with his project.
Okay. Now that's the one on the right going out, right?
Yes, sir. Kind of across from Magnolia Reserve, the water treatment plant, kind of in that area.
Okay.
Do we need to do these separately?
Probably cleaner,
Okay.
particularly with respect to any citizen that wants to come during the hearing. If there any citizens would like to comment, this is a public hearing, now would be the time.
So in other words, go ahead and have the public hearing, have the comments now
Well, the hearing,
after each one.
the comments during the hearing after each parcel, I think, would probably be the cleanest way to do it.
Okay. All right. Let me get down to the,
Does any citizen have any comment to make about the ones you just mentioned on Highway 210?
well,
Yes, Charlie, come on up.
Good evening. Charles Riggs, 502 New Bridge Street. I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Ellis. He respectfully requests annexation into the town of Surf City. He appreciates the value and the benefits of lying within the town. And he does plan to develop the property as Amy had suggested. And he wants to proceed with the annexation so that he can then proceed with the conditional zoning process. He's a resident of Surf City. His children go to school here. So he's an integral part of the town, and he wants to continue that by developing property in the town. So be glad to answer any questions you might have of me regarding the property.
now, how big is that piece of property?
It's right at 6 acres.
6 acres. Okay, you want to go ahead and explain the second piece of property?
You're asking me, or?
You want to finish the NC
Yeah, we-
210
I think we
property
should
before I
finish.
go to 50?
Okay, I think, have we got anybody who wants to speak on the first piece of property?
I have a question for Mr. Riggs, if I may, Mayor.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Riggs, your client understands that both a special use permit and a conditional zoning will be at the board's, that this annexation doesn't guarantee the issuance of either one of those.
He's aware
Thank you.
there's a risk involved.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're probably overkilling the process, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands so that they don't come back. Okay, explain the second piece,
Amy?
the one on 210, Tammy,
I'm coming.
I mean Amy.
All right. I'm a little bit more prepared for this when I got my paperwork pulled up.
Okay,
All right, so the property being investigated for annexation is located on the west side of NC 50, going towards the Holly Ridge town line. Y'all have the PIN numbers from the, for Pender County GIS to look at. I don't know if you may have it in your
don't worry
packet.
about it. Nobody's got anything to pull it up anyway.
The property is owned by Topsoil Tide LLC and is approximately 1.35 acres in size when you combine the two pieces of property that we're requesting at this time. Surrounding town of Surf City zoning districts include neighborhood business along the western border and mixed use to the north. The property on the south side of the site, as well as the east side of NC 50, is located in Pender County and zoned as RP, which is residential performance. The residential performance district is intended to allow a variety of residential uses and densities and also limited commercial activities as well as agritourism. The intersection of NC 50 and NC 210 is zoned extended entranceway commercial, which is their C3, with a mix of mixed-use and neighborhood businesses adjacent to the roadway within the town limits. The area adjacent to NC 50 has been transitioning from residential to a mix of residential and commercial. The mixed-use zoning would allow for single and multifamily options while also allowing for commercial uses. The 2005 land use plan does not specifically address this parcel, as the surrounding area was not within the town limits during that time. Since 2005, additional parcels have annexed into town. The town zoning of the additional annexations follows this pattern by providing C3 zoning near the NC 50, NC 210 intersection and moving to neighborhood business and mixed use adjacent to NC 50 as you move to the more rural areas outside of town limits. The site currently operates as a boat storage facility and would not be allowed in the mixed use zoning. Boat storage facilities are currently only allowed by special use permit within the C3 zoning district. If the applicant would like to continue to utilize the property as a boat storage area, he will need to apply for either a conditional rezoning or a rezoning to C3 with a special use permit. The planning board recommended the mixed use zoning for this piece of property, or for these two parcels.
And then they would have to come back and apply, right?
Yes, sir. Just like on the other parcel, we would come back with either a C3 and a special use or a conditional rezoning, which would be site-specific based on the site plan provided.
Okay. Do we have anybody that'd like to speak on that?
Charles Riggs, 502 New Bridge Street, Jacksonville. On behalf of Mr. Ellis, and he is here tonight, he's sitting beside me in the rear. We're respectfully requesting annexation of this tract also. Now, we presently have a boat storage facility on site, and Ms. Kimes had mentioned that we would, if the town decides to annex and chooses the zone that has been chosen by planning staff, that we would need to come back to get a conditional use for approval. But you would be annexing, I'm only asking this question really to the town attorney, you would be annexing an existing parcel that has an existing use. Therefore, that use would necessarily be non-conforming, not necessarily non-compliant.
Pre-existing.
It's pre-existing.
Legal. Essentially, your contention would be you have vested rights in the existing use.
So that's the only question I have before the council tonight.
Yeah, but one question, would we look at existing prior approvals that were issued under the county as establishing a vested right in that situation?
If it was approved by the county.
That would
It's my
probably be a
understanding
good
it's not been
question.
approved.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted clarification. You know, I want it clear on the table, you know, so we're requesting annexation, and, you know, with the zone that
The
you're
same
choosing.
approval that the county had given it.
The county's not approved.
The
That's my
county hadn't
understanding.
approved.
So
It's in the process now.
this is an important point. So
That's why I'm bringing this up.
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure.
And I appreciate your candor, as does the council, Mr. Riggs. You do not contend you have vested, your client does not contend he has vested rights based on county approvals, correct?
I want to be careful how I say that. I'm not contending that. I just wanted to make sure that the town understands that, you know, that there is an issue that there could be vested rights. But the town would prefer that we, once it's annexed and zoned, that we would then come in with the proper zoning and request the use that we have today and become compliant with the town of Surf City.
Could I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
See if this sounds familiar, sounds right. Your client owns parcel of land that has not gotten any approval from the county or from the town
It's,
as far as what he put out there as boat storage. He just went ahead and put a boat storage out there without getting permission from the county, and now he's wanting to be annexed into the town. Is that correct?
it's my understanding that he proceeded with the proper permitting process, but has not completed that process.
So it hasn't been granted?
The approval, is my understanding, has not been granted.
Right.
But the use has been, you know, it's been there. I'm not trying to mislead council in any way. I'm just trying to bring to light, make sure there's an issue with nonconformance and noncompliance, okay? So he wants to certainly you know, if he's going to bring it in compliance, he would rather bring it into compliance with Surf City's rules rather than Pender County's. Okay? That's as simple as it gets. But at the same time, I mean, we feel like that's an existing use and it's a proper location. We know there may be a risk involved on this parcel also. I mean, I certainly would not want to see him denied with the rezoning and the planning. But in both parcels, I'm looking at it on Highway 50, that's commercial. And I also feel like that on Highway 210, that's a commercial site also. I mean, there are some residential areas in that area, but I really think that it needs to be, you know, maybe 300 or 400 feet off of Highway 210 within that strip of land that's not been developed. It needs to be commercial, and behind it would be residential. But that's for a different conversation. But I wanted to be completely candid about this situation.
Can I ask Amy a part? Amy, probably what would that be zoned if we carried it before, if they accept it, what would they rezone it then?
The piece of property that we're talking,
Yeah,
which piece?
On 50?
on 50.
On 50, planning board recommended a mixed use. Recommended mixed use because that was consistent with what we have previously added out there. We are currently updating our land use plan, and we'll hopefully have all of that area in the new updated land use plan. We are looking at, in the new plan, areas outside of the town limits where the old plan mainly looked at what was in the town limits. So we will be looking at a service area, or we'll call it something fancy, but we will look at an area that is outside in case this happens. So in the future, we won't have this kind of try to figure it out area or gray area to look at. But the planning board is recommending mixed use based on the other rezonings or the other annexations that are in proximity, and the fact that Pender County has the residential performance, which allows for small commercial uses and residential similar to our mixed use. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it would be cleaner. And I mean, it would, while it's in the process, we wouldn't make him close anything down, right?
No, sir, it is our intention in zoning to bring people into compliance, not to fine or whatnot. So we would work with him through the process. If at the time the special use permit was requested or the conditional district, if that was denied, then at that point we would anticipate that they would have to come into compliance. But during the process, since this is coming into town, we would work with the applicant.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Mr. Riggs, I'm looking at the petition. The box that reads, evidence of vested rights obtained from county planning department, if applicable, is not checked. Is that accurate?
Mr. Ellis would have filled that out. We respectfully request to be annexed. We're not trying to.
Right, but I mean, and I understand that, but we're trying to get it.
Well,
let me say that
so we don't get attacked.
I understand that, and that's why I brought this up tonight, and not, not waited. I mean, we want to get it zoned, and then we're going to take the proper steps in order to achieve approvals. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any misconception that he's coming to Surf City to be annexed just to avoid Pender County. That's not the issue here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But as you know, Mr. Riggs, whether annexation is with or without vested rights is a very important legal issue.
I understand that.
And the copy I'm looking at, the box concerning vested rights from approvals obtained by the county is not checked, nor do I see any evidence of any county approvals. Do you want to confer with your client to confirm that?
I could do that.
Well, I'm just saying that my recommendation to the council is going to be if they approve this annexation, it is without any vested rights, particularly since there are none indicated on the application, the petition itself. So if you want to take, I'm not trying to rush you.
Yeah.
Mr. Brewer, do you agree with?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what's on the application, signed by the
Yeah, I don't want to approve
petitioner,
something that's
yeah.
not. Well, just wait a minute.
just
He's
clarifying
He's
that-
going to let us know.
We're clarifying that because the use is going on now doesn't mean that it's vested if this annexation occurs.
Yeah, he might have a liquor still out there.
Mr. Ellis does acknowledge that vested rights have not been established.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That's good enough for me,
Clarifies that.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding conforming, non-conforming, or?
Yeah, so if he just wants to have it annexed, we'll annex it, I guess, right, Amy? And then,
With the MU.
and annex it and you'll zone it MU, and then he can go to the planning board, but we won't make him tear everything down and then start over again.
We will allow him to keep the use as it goes through the process, as long as it doesn't drag out for years. As long as he moves on through as long as he moves on through the process, we will allow him to keep what's up. If during the process, council does not approve the special use permit with the C3 rezoning or the conditional use permit, depending on which direction he goes, at that time, if council votes no at that time, then it would become a non-conforming use that I wouldn't have any leadway with anymore, and he would have to remove it.
Well, it's already it would already be a non-conforming use.
Right, but at that time, we would say, you got to remove
Right.
it. We've researched all avenues, and the answer is no.
And knowing Mr. Riggs, he will work with reasonable diligence to get this stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, we're talking about probably what, 3-4 months? Should have it all cleared up by then.
Depends on Mr. Riggs' work.
Oh, depends on the rigs, 5 or 6 months. Just picking
We
on
would be
you.
diligent in our efforts to
Okay, all
correct
right.
this.
Okey-doke.
Any other questions?
No, that's
All right.
fine.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. Appreciate you
Charles.
being here.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Does anyone else in the public want to speak during this hearing on this parcel?
On it, well, yeah. Huh?
I thought we were going parcel by.
Yeah, he decided to go parcel by parcel. Okay, the third parcel. No, that we did 2 parcels at one time there, right?
Was that
Two parcels
two?
were adjacent to each
Okay.
other and are acting as one unit.
Okay,
Okay,
so we're
so that's
finished.
all 3 parcels now, right? Okay, so nobody needs to be speaking on these last 2, don't want to speak on these last 2 parcels. All right, last chance. Anybody else want to speak on it? Yes, sir.
I know Mike, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah,
And I don't know if you noticed that boat, the way he did it, but I mean, it's done right. And I've noticed everybody else just throws their boats anywhere. He's got it all, situated.
right.
So he's young, he's got his stuff together.
Right, okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, I know Mike, I know he's doing a good job, but I just don't want something to come back on us
I understand.
and, okay?
Okay.
But we're not gonna go out there and kick him out. Okay? All righty, but thank you for speaking up. All right, anybody else? Okay, if not,
Close the public.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
do I have a second? All in favor, raise a hand. Okay, now, who makes a motion that we
Let me
can,
make a stab at it.
all right, you take a stab at it.
I make a motion that we approve the recommendation from the planning board on parcel 1 of roughly 6 acres zoning on Highway 210 to R10, and on the second piece on Highway 50, planning board recommended mixed use, and I make a motion that we follow the planning board's recommendation and do that as a mixed use.
Okay, what about the other one?
Those 2 of them together.
You did say 2, okay, I didn't hear that.
I'll
I'm
second
hard of
that.
hearing anyway. Okay, have we got a second on that?
I did.
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Damn, I done lost my thing.
There it is. Rezoning.
What have we got next? Oh, yeah, another rezoning. Okay, rezoning of Tiffany's Motel from C1 to mixed use. You want to explain that?
I make a motion we go into public hearing and do that.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll
she
second
needs
it.
to speak before we go into public hearing, really, right?
She can introduce the item if she'd like, so the public understands what we're talking about.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah, go ahead and speak, and then they can decide whether they would want to speak or not. Okay.
Okay, tonight we are here to talk about a rezoning request for Tiffany's Motel. The Tiffany's Hotel is located in the 1500 block of North New River Drive. The hotel originally consisted of a one-story ground-level building at 1502 North New River Drive and was assigned a zoning of C1. Once the owner purchased property on the west side of the road, which is 1501 North New River Drive, he petitioned the town to have his new property zoned C1 as well, so that he could expand the hotel. Over time, the hotel has changed from a single structure to the current layout consisting of the hotel portion on the east side of North New River Drive and 3 structures consisting of a motel-minium on the west side of the road. Our ordinance defines a motel-minium as a condominium project with individual unit ownership developed for short-term or transient occupancy that has rental or registration desks, on-site management services, daily cleaning services, telephone services, and other convenience services to residents and guests typical of a commercially operated facility. A motel-minium is operated as a commercial hotel even though the units are individually owned. In the 2000s, the town added the mixed-use zoning district to our ordinances. This zoning allows for a mix of residential and commercial uses. The original C1 zoning was intended to be the central business district for the Island Causeway area. The existing commercial properties annexed in at the north end of town, such as the Friendly Mart and the Trailer Bar, were also assigned the C1 zoning when they annexed into town, as it was the most applicable zoning at the time. The majority of multifamily housing and/or hotels north of the 300 block of North New River Drive, with the exception of surf condos, are zoned mixed use. The surf condos is zoned a PUD. As our ordinances and town limits have grown, additional zoning districts have been provided, allowing us to better distinguish areas within our town. Town regulations have been created to help promote the central business district within our town while continuing to promote residential uses on the island. At this time, condominiums are allowed in the mixed-use zoning, but are not allowed in the central business district. Allowing condominiums in the business districts of island communities can lead to the removal of businesses due to older stores being replaced with new multi-level condominiums. In an effort to minimize this effect, the town has not added condominiums to the allowable uses in the C1 district. In your packet today is a request to rezone the west portion of Tiffany's Hotel from the existing C1 to MU zoning. Mixed-use zoning allows for condominiums as a by-right use. The current property meets the setback requirements of the mixed-use zoning and was required to meet the parking standards as a part of the last site plan review. As a part of this rezoning, it would be expected that the landscape would be replaced in a manner consistent with or exceeding the latest approved site plan. This property currently functions as a motel-minium by utilizing the office and cleaning services located in the hotel portion of Tiffany's. Each of the 37 units in the motel-minium have individual deeds and can be sold as real property similar to condominiums, though legally they cannot be sold as a condominium due to the condominiums not being allowed in the C1 zoning. The current majority owner is requesting to rezone the property from C1 to mixed use to allow for the existing units to legally be sold as condominiums with a designated homeowners association. Of the existing 37 units, all but 6 are owned by the majority owner. All other owners have been involved in the discussion and are in agreement with this rezoning request. So all 7 owners are in agreement. This rezoning would be a step towards removing the C1 zoning from areas outside of the central business district. As these satellite properties are rezoned to a more appropriate zoning, additional regulations and/or benefits can be added to the C1 zoning to promote the growth of on-island and causeway businesses. The designation of these units as true condominiums will offer an additional housing type to our island market. As technology has changed, the way we rent vacation rentals has changed as well. Owners will still have the opportunity to rent individual units
when not in use by the primary owner through local realtors or internet sites such as VRBO. They will also have the option to live on-site if desired. This often leads to a greater sense of pride in the overall appearance of the site and higher maintenance standards. So staff recommends approval of the rezoning request to better align with the existing zoning on the island. The 2005 land use plan shows this parcel as an existing commercial property, but the future land use plan shows this area as residential. This rezoning is consistent with the land use plan, as converting this from a motel-minium to condominiums will provide a residential component to the use. The planning board recommended approval of the rezoning at the December 9th, 2021 meeting.
Okay, now the only thing we're rezoning is the portion that's on the sound side
Yes, sir.
of the road, right?
Yes, sir.
So then the Tiffany Motel, the old Tiffany Motel will stay just like it was.
Yes, sir.
And then the new part on the sound side is the one that we're rezoning.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And these units already are individually owned and can be sold, but it would be more like a timeshare type thing versus selling it as a condominium.
right, okay. All right, does everybody understand that? Okay. All right, have a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion, we go into closed
I mean,
session.
not closed session. I mean, public hearing, sorry about that. So have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Have you got a list or just?
Kathleen Sumner.
Kathleen Sumner. I live on Boca Bay, which is directly behind my house, is adjacent to, under the law, to Tiffany's on the west side. All we have is the water and the marsh in between us. And we see and hear everything that goes on in that particular, those buildings, okay?
Okay.
Including the fireworks. We're not objecting to the fact of the mixed use. What we're objecting to is we're requesting that the council remand this back to the planning board so that they can comply with NC Gen Stat 160D-602A, giving us adjacent homeowners mailed notice of the hearing so we can appear at the planning board meeting in order to voice our concerns so that this is done in such a way as not to impact our homes where I live full-time. We would also request that there is an execution and recordation of the declaration, which I don't know if there is or not, or whether that was put in. I tried to get a copy of this application and could not obtain it online. I would like them to fix the common areas, such as the pool that's falling into the marsh, along with the fence since Florence that has never been properly fixed. I would like to make sure that the planning board encourages, when this development is converted to mixed use, that they furnish the and pay for the crosswalk and the light across at that corner. We already have 71 houses down on Boca Bay, and we have no crosswalk, and we're going to have someone killed there, and I think I've been tormenting Kyle for a long time on this issue. We need a crosswalk there, and the council needs to act on that. And this is one way to make sure that the business or the declarant pays for this. The next thing I would like to ask is to make sure that there are assigned parkings and enough parking for all owners. So sometimes you'll say in a condominium that you have 2 guaranteed parking spots for each condominium. And then you have X number of spaces for the guests of the condominiums. We have a problem with people coming down our private road that we pay for to maintain and parking all over and using our swimming pool. This is a problem. We want to make sure this is not going to be exacerbated by this mixed-use purpose. We also want to make sure that when they do this condominium, that they are the declarant makes sure there's proper funding in the reserves to start with, because everything there is not in good working order, according to observation and walking through. The unit owners and association has to be organized no later than the date of the first unit being conveyed pursuant to NC Gen Stat 47C-3-101. That means that we need to make sure that they have adopted, they've set up their homeowners association for the condominium for those 37 units, and that they adopt the bylaws and the rules, the regulations, and the budgets. So we're not against the use, the changing. We feel it needs to go back for further discussion prior to this council approving it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Council.
Anyone else like to speak this?
Garrett Cox, a realtor at Coastal Realty. Live in Wilmington, 204 Roland Avenue here in Surf City is our business address. I'm representing Mr. Ben Kajar, the majority owner at Tiffany's, and we're requesting this rezoning and able to sell these condos or these units as condos. Right now, they're mixed use or C1, so therefore we can't sell them as condos. They have to be sold as condo-tels or a motel-minium. The daily use is going to be exactly the same. Our daily functions, how we're operating, is going to be the exact same. This is basically so we can sell these legally as a condo. They're being used as a condo, but technically we can't sell them as a condo. For the reserve in the funds and keeping things up, yeah, we look to improve everything on that. I'm taking over management of the HOA and management of the properties. So yeah, we're looking to improve everything there. And for the reserves in our funds, that's per the HOA, how they feel comfortable with that. But I don't know how we can regulate what an HOA has in their reserve funds. I think that could be upon the complex. We do have the bylaws recorded. I have a copy of those and I can get those from my attorney. But we have all those things set up that are necessary for an HOA to exist. So to me, I feel like this would be a positive thing. And by having more people own these units, it's going to help preserve the beautification of this project. If you have owners on site, they're going to make sure it's pretty and keep up with the appearance of the exterior. By having this more transient, by keeping it a condo-tel, it's basically only going to be guests and visitors who come in. So they don't really care what the complex looks like. When you have owners who are on site, they're going to be more apt to, hey, let's keep the premises pretty. Let's get on the HOA about making sure that the pool fence is kept up. So to me, I think this is just a positive for all of us. The crosswalks, I think that could be something that if we have 37 units and there's 71 units, maybe we can all come together and pay for a crosswalk. Because if we're all going to use it, that could be something that we all do together. So I would like to recommend this rezoning to mixed use, just so again, so we can actually sell what we're using right now and go into the Surf City. Their planned use for the future is to help move C1 back into the business district. And very rarely do you have someone come up and ask for a down zoning. Usually we're up here asking for an up zoning. We're bringing down the zoning from C1 to mixed use. So we request that, and we think it would be better for the city and all the residents around. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm Hunt Reeve Schneider, 125 Boca Bay, South Boca Bay Lane. So I'm a neighbor of Kathleen's, for better or for worse. Anyway, I think for better. Just moved here a couple of months ago. Love Surf City, came from Texas, can't say enough about it. We're moving as many of our peers up here as we possibly can. Hope that's okay with you guys. But aside from that, I've always been very actively involved, and I've met you several times, because I love to be actively involved in my neighborhood. From the city all the way down to my neighborhood, and you've seen what I've already done in the neighborhood. My point here is that up till last week, didn't know anything about this, and I try and stay actively involved, so that means there's something missing. I don't think I just missed things. I think there's a point of communication, and signage was difficult to find. So as soon as I knew about it, shared it with everybody in the neighborhood, and they were all surprised. So it seems like there's something wrong with communication if almost everybody in the neighborhood didn't know this was happening. So I request that we get the opportunity for the neighborhood to actually be involved and see what's going to happen. The second piece for me is that the information that we could get wasn't quite sufficient. So something like CCRs to allow us to actually see, not just hear what the voices say, or the words are, but I want to see what they're going to hold themselves accountable to. I've been HOA presidents for many different communities down in Texas. And if they don't hold themselves accountable to those standards, even in Boca Bay, it'll all, while we have the best of intentions, it'll slowly degrade into something that it shouldn't have been. And I realize this could be a great idea. I'm not saying it's not a good idea. It could be. We want to reserve and make sure that it is going to be exactly what you say, and we can hold you accountable to something up front. I mean, I trust your words. I don't know you, but you look like a great guy. But we just need more information. Our neighborhood needs more information. Therefore, we need more time to be able to do that. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Understandable. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
One more point I'd like to put on this. If we don't get this rezoning, we're still going to act the same way we're acting now. So by not allowing this zoning, it's not going to change anything for our daily functions. Yeah. It's not going to change our daily functions. We still operate the same. So the zonings, they're not against this being rezoned. They're saying that they want to see what's going on with it. If we don't get the rezoning, we're still going to be acting the exact same way. So if there was issues there, I think there would be issues no matter what, if we get this rezoned or not. I think the issue that some of the public has isn't about the rezoning, it's about what's going on there. So I think that the rezoning aspect.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying is, if you don't give us this, we're going to do it anyway.
No, it's not what I'm
Well,
saying.
that's what you just said. You just understand, you just said, does it matter if it happens or not, we're still going to act as we were normally acting. So to me, you're just saying, screw it, we're going to do what we're going to do anyway. That doesn't work with me.
I'm not saying we're going to.
Okay, I'm just saying it doesn't work well. So maybe we should rephrase that if you don't mind, okay?
It wasn't that we're going to do what we're doing. I'm saying our daily functions are going to be the same, how this place operates. I'm saying that the issues that I've heard aren't about getting this rezoned, they're about how it's operating. And what we're asking for rezoning isn't to do anything with the operations. It's for how it can be sold.
I understand. Because my concern is the 70 or 80 citizens that are there, not the if come. You're talking about we want to build condos for if. Well, I think it's great. I think I love new, right? But I love new. I think it's fantastic. But I understand what they're saying is they just want to be aware of what's going on here. They're not against it. They want to be aware of it. Yep. Okay, so I want to know, what is our rules on it? Was it posted? Was it not posted? When was it posted?
It was posted, I'm sure, but what? Go ahead.
So first, it's not new construction, it's just the existing. We're not adding any new units.
Yeah, Mike, please.
So you said new, so I just wanted to make sure there
Yeah, I
wasn't a
understand. Okay.
misunderstanding.
You got me
on
there.
that
Okay,
part.
good. Okay.
Sorry.
When
Just
was
wanted
it?
to make sure.
The information has to be posted, right?
So we posted it on the property. We sent to all of the adjacent property owners that touched the property. There is a large chunk of land between where Miss Kathleen lives and the property, so we did send it to that property owner. We sent it to the property across the road on Pender Avenue that was adjacent, as well as the property across 210 that's on Easy Street that was adjacent to it. It was posted and it was put in the newspaper per the guidance. So it was in there for 3 weeks. And it's also...
Was it on our Facebook, our website? Was it on our town information at all? And also, what kind of signage? I'm just curious. How big's the sign? Where's the sign?
The sign is in the landscape area because everything out there is it's parking where we couldn't really put it. So it's in the landscape area. They are currently like 2 by 2 by 3.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right.
Signs. Our old ones deteriorated to the point that when we tried to hammer them, they were falling apart. So we recently purchased new ones.
Awesome. Okay.
If council would like something a little bit different.
No, I just want to make sure because you're giving us the information we want, for sure.
It was posted, and we currently do not hold public hearings at planning board, and that's why it was not posted prior to planning board. It was posted prior to council for the public hearing that is held at council.
Got it.
That's all I can say. Thank you.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Ms. Susan.
I want to assure council, there is no land that is livable between their property and my backyard.
Right.
It's all water.
But there's a lot of fish in there.
That's our hatching ground. But according to North Carolina General Statute 160D-602, and please correct me, Brian, if I'm reading the statute wrong. Okay. A, mailed notice, and I do a different kind of law. The owners of affected parcels of land and the owners of all parcels of land abutting that parcel of land shall, that's mandatory language under the law, be mailed a notice of the hearing on a proposed zoning map amendment by first-class mail at the last address listed by such owners on the tax abstracts. There are at minimum,
Read the next sentence.
okay, for purposes of this section, properties are abutting, even if separated by a street, railroad, or other transportation corridor.
That's my question to Amy.
It's water.
Is
Water's a corridor, no different. If you've been to Venice, you know FedEx uses gondolas. I mean, come on. But in any event, we're not against it. We just want to go back and talk.
Right, okay. Amy?
Yes, sir, across Pender Avenue received and across
the parcel,
the vacant parcel that is mostly wetlands, water behind it received a notification as well.
does that parcel have a tax identification number?
Yes, sir, and an address on it.
I don't believe that they're abutting by the definition of this statute.
Well, I mean, I'll be glad to go to the Supreme Court and ask, but in any event, we're asking, and I win up there, and all I'm asking is if this council would please send it back to the planning board so we can get our concerns addressed. We did not get notice. I believe we were entitled to notice just because there's a tax parcel with water. We are affected. We would like to at least have it remanded. I don't think that's asking too much by this council.
Attorney Eads, can I have a question?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Are you saying that the council as a whole or the town is acting illegal?
I'm not calling anyone acting illegal. All I'm saying is I would appreciate if the town would notify actual homeowners. I mean, the Yao Trust does not live in that water.
But the law states the abutting properties that adjoin it.
And I would argue that our property is abutting. I would argue that.
Your property does touch that.
Our property touches the water.
It doesn't touch the other property that does it.
No, sir.
Okay, that's all my question.
But
Brian, can I have a question, if you don't mind?
Yes,
So,
I'd like to respond to, go ahead.
no, please do that. No, please.
Well, I mean, I understand your point, and I'm not familiar with but if there's a tax parcel, whether it's submerged wetlands or whatever, I mean, if it was the intercoastal waterway, navigable water, that's one thing. But if it's an actual tax parcel, a strict reading of this statute, you would not be, in my legal opinion, an abutting property owner. I'm not familiar physically on the ground with what that parcel looks like. I mean, is it part of a waterway? Is it, boats go through there?
no one goes through there. It's just shrimp breeding ground.
Understood. But if there's a tax parcel, it means it is an abutting parcel which would separate.
I know it's owned by the trust, the Yao Trust, and the Yaos owned our little Boca Bay area, and Mark is the one who built it. But
If the General Assembly said the next abutting property that had a residential structure on it, they could have, they didn't, that's not, I'm not disagreeing with you, ma'am, and I'm certainly not arguing with you. I'm just saying my job is to advise this council.
I appreciate that. I also think that the intent of the General Assembly was not to notify marshland owners as much as it was to be notifying the people who have actual dwellings. And I did not bring a case to support me on that, but I'll be more than happy to go to court and make one.
Well,
thank you.
I'm sure I don't need to give you directions to the courthouse. I don't necessarily disagree with the concern expressed by the people that live in that area. The statute reads, and I'm going to read it verbatim as to what's abutting land. For purposes of this section, properties are, quote, abutting, unquote, even if separated by a street, railroad, or other transportation corridor. As I understand what Amy has told us, it's not a street, it's not the waterway, it's not a railroad, it's not a transportation corridor that separates these properties. It's an actual parcel with a tax ID number.
I have it pulled up if you want to look at it.
That's up to the council. I just want to let you know what the statute actually defines as an abutting property. So,
I believe that enough communication was given. This is what I believe that. However, I'm not opposed to, I don't think remanding is the word, and I know Ms. Sumner knows a lot more about law than I do. I don't think I want to remand anything. I think tabling an item for 30 days is, if this council will do that, I'm okay with. If that gives that HOA time, if you're not against it, because if the planning board's recommended, it's good, there's no doubt. But I don't think remanding it is the thing I'd like to look at. Tabling I'm okay with for 30 days if that makes that development happy and they feel they can gain some ground there. But, you know, I think our communication has been good with that. If there's been signage and they've put it in the newspaper, they've done the things they're supposed to do. But I have no problem with that process. Just want to let that note be known.
Well, an option, remand is a legal term that a higher court sends back to a lower court. But this council could send it back to the planning board for reconsideration and direct staff to mail that property, even though, in my legal opinion, it's not abutting. That's an option. I'm not suggesting you do or not do that.
Can I ask you?
I believe that's your,
That's a lot of mailings.
that's your request, is it not, ma'am?
In effect, we want to be able to go to the planning board and get our questions answered, if that is okay with the council. That's all.
Brian, is it anything that's, I'm not saying it's unlawful or whatever, but would it harm anything on this if we just, like Jeremy said, give them 30 more days to work out their differences and get this before we approve it, and that way both parties would get what they want, and the people that live back there would get the HOA would get some notification from the HOA. They could meet with them and make sure that they got the proper do the proper things as far as fixing what needs to be fixed up to where they don't have to look at property that's not been fixed. Can we do this or what?
You could certainly not take action tonight and put it on next month's agenda if you like. I don't know what harm that would cause the applicant, and if the applicant wants to speak to a 30-day delay, I'm sure.
Well, he said it wouldn't change what they were doing anyway.
Yeah, if we have a 30-day delay, that's not going to hurt us at all. Again, we're open, we're coming to you guys, so as much time as you need, but also, my question would be, what would we need to change, or?
Well, here's the only thing. It's going to put, Amy and them's going to have to do everything all over again.
No, they wouldn't. The only thing they would have to do again would be to, if you elected to, direct staff to mail that property owner. Again, my legal opinion is that they don't fall within an abutting property under the statute. But I think they want to have input with the planning board, and I don't want to speak for you guys, so tell me if I'm wrong, because they feel like they may have some influence on the planning board's recommendation back to the council. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct. And it's regarding the impact on the properties. The impact on our properties, we want that impact addressed by the planning board, and that's why we suggested remanding it, but sending it back so that we could have an organized meeting. We don't care if the meeting's in our rec area. If we have a recreation building, we can meet there and have an open discourse so we don't start having nasty conversations this coming summer. We want people to get along. We're not against mixed-use rezoning. What we need to have some input so we can talk about it. That's all. And let us know if we can get these concerns that we have addressed.
Councilmember Helms suggested or entertained the idea of a 30-day continuance to allow you to talk to the HOA, not the planning board. Is that acceptable to you?
If
we talk and we meet with total resistance on any questions, like we don't get a copy of the declarations, we don't see that they've already done their bylaws on the 6 properties that are already sold. We need to understand what's going on.
That's a private issue, though.
I understand, but we're not against the mixed use. We want to make sure they have parking for the people, assigned parking for the people who are buying in, so they know where they're parking, that we're not going to have their cars all the way down our street, or we're going to be calling, having them towed. I mean, we want to get along with our neighbors, but we also want to make sure we don't step down into bigger problems. We have not had any problem technically with Tiffany's that has required us to contact the police or where they have done something. So we're not against what they've been doing now, but we don't know what their price point is. Again, these are private issues, but we just felt we needed input into the discussion.
Mr. Mayor and Council, as I see it, you have 3 options. One would be to take the matter up tonight. Another option would be to send it back to the planning board and direct staff to mail the owners of this complex, and forgive me, I'm not familiar with the name of your community.
Boca Bay.
Boca Bay. Or 3, delay it till next month and allow the parties to talk amongst themselves.
If I may, I agree with the council a while ago. This is a private matter that should be dealt with Boca Bay and Tiffany's. We can't, if Tiffany's come in and meets the definitions and follows the guidelines of the ordinances that we have set down, and they have the parking spaces, which is required and part of the zoning ordinance and stuff. If you're having problems with that, y'all need to work that out and try to come to some kind of agreement. We can't legislate that. We can't do that. But I certainly understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that because of what it is and how it is, all the legal ramifications, we did everything legal. We haven't done anything illegal, as you indicated as well. But you have some concerns, and those concerns should be and needs to be addressed. And the Boca Bay area and Tiffany's should get together and, to me, I look at it, if you're coming on my property and tell me to do something to my shed or difference to my shed, that's my shed, and you can say it's affecting your property, but if it's meeting all the guidelines from the town and it's legal and everything, that's just a difference of opinion between you and I. And that's what we're looking at here, but it's not a difference of opinion, it's you want to make sure you have some things in writing, or it's an understanding of what's going to take place and what it's going to look like. And I think that comes to fruition between 2 of you getting together and talking and coming up with something that you all can live with. I don't have a problem delaying it for 30 days. I do have a problem sending it back to the planning board. But I don't have a problem delaying it 30 days to give you all time to get together and come forward, and then we can take it up and move forward with it. That's just my opinion.
Mr. Mayor, that's what I intended when I said give them 30 more days, was that so you and the homeowners, you being the realtor, and
We hadn't closed the public hearing.
that way you folks could work it out, because you have done everything that is required by our ordinance. Am I correct? Okay. Then it would just help both parties involved. I think, I don't see any reason for it to go back to the planning board either. I'm in agreement with Buddy. But I think you could give you 30 days, and then y'all could work it out. And certainly you can be here the next council meeting, and if you worked your disagreements out, then everything's like it ought to be.
Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Let's continue.
Well, wait a minute, let's close the public hearing and then we'll do that.
I would continue the public hearing to next month, if you won't allow people for them to talk and then come back and hear additional comments. Because if you close it tonight, if you're going to have another public hearing, you're going to have to re-advertise it.
Okay.
Repost.
All right. Do I have a motion to continue the public hearing until next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
Do you understand that?
Yeah,
Jeremy?
I'm listening, yeah.
Okay. All right. We got that, Carla?
Now, do we need to close? Now, do we
No,
need to?
that's it. No.
That's it?
That's
Okay.
We can move on from that item.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to turn it over to Mr. Lee Grimson and let him give us our good news.
He's got a smile on his face. It must be good news.
Looks like we're not broke yet.
All right, good evening, and I like your beard.
He's smiling and you're smiling and.
Mr. Mayor, I like your beard as well.
Thank
It
you,
looks,
sir.
it looks sharp.
Appreciate that.
I might work on mine for next time. I'm here to present the audit for June 30th, 2021. You should have a copy of the report. I may refer to a couple of pages. I'm not going to go page by page. And you should have a copy of the graphs as well. I'll go through.
Right, we got the draft.
The graphical information. This is our fourth year auditing the town of Surf City. We began the audit in September of this year. We issued the report December 10th. That was actually the deadline this year was December 1st. So we were a little bit behind the deadline. I do want to note that. But the report was ready on time on December 1st. They just wanted to hold on to it. So a small delay, not a big deal there. Of the last 4 years that we've audited the town of Surf City, this has been the cleanest the books have been internally. So you'll see good information in the graphs, and also internally, we only had, I think it was 4 total journal entries, very minor. So what that means is you can rely on the financial information that you're getting on a monthly basis. So so really, the best internal books that we've seen, at least from our standpoint. The staff did a great job getting everything we needed in a timely manner this year. We issued 4 audit opinions. The first one is the traditional audit opinion, the financial statement audit opinion, which everybody thinks of as an audit. We issued an unmodified opinion there. There were 3 compliance opinions. You received FEMA money, FEMA expenditures of around $13 million this year, which brought along a bunch of compliance work. So we did a federal and state single audit. There were no findings for those 2 audit opinions. And then we had a yellow book audit opinion. So that's the 4th. That's an internal control audit opinion. There were no findings this year. I think it's in the last 4 years, I'm trying to remember. Last year there were 2 findings, just to give a little bit of a basis, but there were no findings to report this year. This was the first year we worked with your new finance officer, David. He did a great job this year. Very impressed with him. The town did a great job staying within the budget, which last year that was the one major finding from the previous fiscal year. There were some budget issues that I think because of the transition between finance officers. At June 30th, the net position was $87.2 million. There was an increase in net position for the fiscal year of $23.4 million, so just a really strong year financially. A couple of notable income statement items, impact fees were up. Last year, they were at $1.4 million, fiscal year 20, and then this fiscal year, they were at $6.3, so a very significant increase with impact fees. Grant money received was in the Beach Renourishment Fund totaled $8.7 million compared to 1.8 last year. So those were 2 big contributing factors to the net position increase. Notable capital asset additions at $7 million, which is mostly the town hall building. So before I start boring you, I'll get to something interesting.
No, that's all right. Go right ahead.
Page
The
13.
impact fees are actually called service development fees, correct?
Oh, sorry. Well, system
System
development.
development,
Sorry.
yeah. We don't want to get in
Right,
trouble
yeah,
with it.
system development.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Let me just point something out, page 13. Just so you guys can be a little active and open the report up. This is the balance sheet of your governmental funds. And I discussed this with Kyle and David, so they may chime in. If you were looking at the balance sheet, one thing, if I were looking at this as a citizen or maybe a board member, the Town Hall Capital Project Fund column, do you see that?
Right.
If you scroll down, the total fund balance is a deficit of 3.7. Kyle said you knew all about it, but I at least wanted to bring that to your attention. That's a little unusual. Kyle, do you want to speak on that now?
That includes
or
the police department, right?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Grissom, for delivering the report this afternoon. But yes, that is, the town initially, I think, set out to potentially finance the police department portion of the town hall project, and then ultimately decided to pay for that out of cash reserves. So that's where that deficit shows up on the audit report. And then also on page 2 of your graphs, you'll see where that reserve number goes down. But what we talked about, Dave and I, and then with Lee in this process, is that deficit is also represented by a tangible asset with the land and the police department on the island. So not all is lost per se in that gap. We do have some valuable land and a building that is sitting over there. So just, I'll share that, and if you have any questions, I can certainly try and answer those.
And if you look at the general fund column on page 13, you see the due from other funds of $3.918 million. In that number is the amount that the general funds owed from the town hall capital project. So what that essentially does, if you scroll down general fund towards, see the unassigned general fund balance of $3 million. If that loan between the two funds was not there, the unassigned balance would be up by almost 3.7 million. So your unassigned fund balance has shrunk because of that. So that hurts your emergency fund, essentially, is what it's done. So when we get to the graphs, we get to page 2 of the graphs, you'll see the emergency fund for the general fund to go down this year. That will explain why that is.
Yeah, because to explain that, we were planning on selling the old police department and pay for the new police department, but we couldn't get it sold. So that's the reason it looks like we're in debt. Of course, we still own the police department, so we're not really in debt. We just, it's something that we can't use right now.
Dave?
Dave?
Of that $3.7 million deficit, we're anticipating $600,000 worth of grant money back. It's just a matter of when we're going to get it. $7,000 of that $600,000 is from Golden Leaf. We received that money in October, so we're already recouped that, and the difference is money that we're just waiting on FEMA. So of that $3.7 million deficit, $600,000 of it we're getting back. It's just a matter of when.
So basically, Peter and Paul, it's increasing between the two.
2 degrees, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
The local government commission tracks that unassigned fund balance metric, so you guys are still in good shape, but it would be even better shape. I mean, as far as an emergency.
Look like you
right.
owed that.
All right. Is there any other questions regarding that?
Did you bring a check to help with the fund balance?
You're asking the wrong person. So again, no issues with the budget last year. There were no findings to report. And that was the town hall capital project deficit, the one kind of unusual thing, but everything else was extremely positive. So let's switch to the graphs and take a look at that. All right, the first page, this is fund balance of the general fund, essentially the equity of the general fund. All these graphs, I think, are 8 fiscal years. And you can see, I mean, from an auditor standpoint, I mean, this is what you want to see. Just back in 2014 fiscal year, the fund balance was at 2.3 million. And fast forward to 2021, you're at 8.7 million. So in this fiscal year, the general fund added $1.9 million. So even despite the emergency fund going down, the general fund did add almost $2 million. Let's go to page 2. Now, this is the number of months in reserve that we just discussed in the general fund. If you see in 2017 to 2020, it was about in a 6 to 7 month reserve around those 4 fiscal years. And then this year it went down to 3.4 months. And that's related to that $3.7 million, essentially the loan to the Town Hall Capital Project Fund. But it's still, you still are above the minimum requirement this fiscal year. But so whenever that money is paid back to the general fund, I mean, you would be back in the range of the last couple of fiscal years. Let's go to page 3. Cash, all funds for the last 8 fiscal years. Again, really good. I mean, go back to 2014, you're at 11.1 million. Fast forward to 2021, fiscal year into June 30th, 2021 at 39 million. So, looking good there. Increase of $17.2 million this fiscal year. Let's go to page 4. This is outstanding debt. Now, this is excluding, this doesn't include pension liabilities. This is your traditional installment debt and capital lease debt. And as you can see, the peak in 2014 at 24 million, and then you could almost draw a line from 2014 downward into fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021 at $14.5 million. Let's go to the next one. This is the Water and Sewer Fund net position. Again, nothing bad to report here. This fiscal year in the Water and Sewer Fund, you added 7.3 million. Of that 7.3, it was 6.3. What was the terminology? System fees, service, system development fees. So of that 7.3 million increase this year, 6.3 what was related to that. Let's go to the next graph, page 6. Property tax collections. So again, strong here, going back to 2014 at 5.3 million, and then fiscal year ended June 30th at about 6.3 million. So the last 2 fiscal years have been the highest property tax collections. And then page 7 is our last graph, property tax collection percentage. It's been in the, looks like 97 to 98% range pretty much the last 8 fiscal years, pretty steady. Couple of housekeeping items in case I haven't touched on this. We did not encounter any significant difficulties with management. There were no new accounting policies adopted during the year. We did not identify any transactions that lacked authoritative guidance. We didn't find any fraud, and we did not have disagreements with management, and we did not consult with other auditors during this engagement. So overall, the financial information looked really good. Internally, the books were in good shape, and we enjoyed working with management and staff. And so that's, is there any questions?
We appreciate it.
All right, terrific.
Anytime you got a report like this, bring it on.
All right, keep up the good work.
I specifically asked him to be here in person as opposed to Zoom like we did last year.
Right, yeah. And yeah, we do love to see you. Glad to have you here.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now we have reappointment of committee liaisons. You know which ones we got to reappoint. They're all on there now, but just asking to be reappointed. So I think I would like to do is just have all together. Do I have a motion to appoint all of these at one time?
I make a motion, we adopt all of these at one time.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carried. Okay, we got that over with. All right, Mr. Manager, what's your report?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, council and citizens and staff that are in attendance. As you know, there's not a lack of things going on around town, so I will try to be brief and kind of go through some of the highlights. Before the new year, I'd sent you all kind of an update of some other major projects, but just for your information, since the colonel from the Corps came, I've set up weekly meetings. The last meeting held December 29th and anticipate a meeting tomorrow. They've reported there have been no changes, mainly due to the holidays, but they do continue to work on that validation report and plan to hit that hard this week. So look forward to hearing from Mr. Tranter tomorrow on their progress on that. The AMI project, for any residents in here, you might have gotten a notification while sitting in the meeting. So that project is moving forward, and that's, in intention to, one, we have to replace those meters because they become old and they become inefficient and not accurate in collection. But that project is moving forward, and they will be starting January 17th. So that's a massive meter replacement project. We have a good communications plan to message that out to our folks. So thank you, and please stay in tune with that. But the ultimate impact of that is cloud-based service. You'll be able to get utility reads on the hour to monitor that, set your own budgets if you would like to do that, so you get an alert if you get a high reading. Trying to address these issues immediately as opposed to having a leaky faucet for 3 weeks and then you have an enormous water bill. So that project is moving forward, and there will be information on Facebook, the Code Red, as well as our website. And the website will have a more detailed description of what the project is. The green sand filter project, we were able to get enough material to start the project, and they actually started yesterday on that, working directly in coordination, our utilities with our fire department, and they will continue until that project is completed. Another utilities project, Headworks, that should be completed by the end of February. So again, utilities department doing a good job getting some of these major projects underway, and looking forward to getting those completed. The Mainland Park project, so staff continues to work with the consultants, McAdams and Ms. Shepard will take over the immediate communication with McAdams in Mr. Merritt's departure. Great meeting right before the holidays with the skate park design team. I think that they are really eager to move forward with the project, and it sounded like they had some good design elements that they want to incorporate into that and share with any future skate park design firms. So looking good on that. The dune planting project, we will be getting our first delivery of those, I believe on Friday, on the 7th. And then those deliveries from our residents who have placed those orders will continue for the next several weeks into early February. So once that gets started, Coastal Transplants, we the town, have contracted with them to do the dune plantings for town-owned properties. So if you see them out there working, it's probably on a town property, and residents have the option to contract with whoever they want to do that installation.
Yeah, so in other words, our residents can also hire them to do the dune planting, right?
Absolutely, or their general landscaper,
Yeah.
or whomever they want. In addition, the town is collecting natural Christmas trees without ornaments or lights at the old site of the town hall. There's actually 2 dumpsters out there. I checked them the other day, and they're pretty full. So also in this process, we'll work with CAMA, work with Coastal Transplants, try to utilize those at some of our crossovers, and then if we do have excess, we did let our residents know that we would be happy to take them to them, and they can do with them what they want. But just to reiterate, there was an article I saw earlier today that they do require minor permits from CAMA. So make sure you're doing those properly, or at that next high tide, it'll be down the beach somewhere. So 2022 hurricane reentry decals have been ordered, and they should be here in the next couple of weeks. So once those are available, Pivot and the town will communicate and let folks know that they can go to the website and register for that, for those that are eligible per our policy. The pay study, the preliminary results were delivered just before the holidays, so we'll begin to look at the data and start to formulate recommendations on potential implementation and consideration. The consultant will come to a council meeting to present that information, so we'll get that scheduled for you, and just wanted to let you know that that was underway and substantially completed. Sort of on the same lines with the parking capacity analysis. Talked to them right before the holidays. They were finishing up a few data points, getting their architect to redesign some of those larger surface lots over towards Kinston Avenue. So look forward to seeing that. And again, that consultant will come to council to give you a report when it is ready. So we do look forward to that. The parking lot recommendations will be completed in-house because it's just a redesign and configuration, and we'll have that done by the next season that's coming up. Getting into budget, just heard a good report from the audit, so Dave and his team, thank you. I think there he is. But we'll be meeting with department heads this Friday to continue that process. We're going to do a little bit differently. That department heads are going to be able to input their data directly into the system, a more efficient process for our finance department, as opposed to collecting all these spreadsheets and inputting them. So we're going to give some training on Friday, and then the next Friday, our capital improvement items are due from department heads. So that'll give Dave and I a chance to start reviewing those and preparing that in preparation for your retreat later on this month. And then Christmas breakdown, they will start on this coming Monday. So just like when we put this stuff up, we ask that the public just be cautious, be patient. If you get behind that boom truck, they're taking off the lights and are going to be very careful with those because we do some rehab every year to those fixtures, but we want to make sure that we can do that work safely. But they've become pretty efficient in this, and hopefully it won't cause any headaches. And just a huge thank you to all the staff that puts in so much effort every year to make that happen. It truly is a multi-departmental effort. And then the last thing on my report, certainly not last in terms of importance, but I wanted to just recognize Chief Voorhees to come up. He was going to recognize Detective Cable this evening for obtaining a advanced law enforcement certification. So this is certainly important, but we wanted to provide Chief, his swearing in. So I'll let you take it on from here. And that would conclude my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brewer, thanks for giving me a minute to speak. There comes a milestone in people's lives, no matter if you're a law enforcement officer or who you are. There's milestones that we all celebrate within our lives and our careers. And as a law enforcement officer, this is one of the highest honors you can receive from the state. A lot of work and a lot of training, a lot of education goes into this. Officers work their whole careers, and many of them never, ever reach this plateau. So this is a big deal for a law enforcement officer and a milestone in Detective Cable's career. So I'd like to say congratulations. And we have a letter that says, Detective Cable, the town of Surf City, and I would like to congratulate you on receiving your advanced law enforcement certification from the State of North Carolina Training and Standards Division. Effective January 2nd, 2022, you will receive a $1,000 salary increase for this great achievement. Again, congratulations sincerely, Chief Voorhees. Thank you. Thank you, sir. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okey-doke. Now, let's see. Which way am I going to go? I'm going to start with Jeremy.
Mine will be super quick. Mr. Mayor, I like your beard, by the way. Just to let you know that.
Thanks, sir.
No, okay. All right. So I just want to say our job as a council here, I just want to reiterate this, to preserve its many successful methods and developments of growth throughout the years. That's what our job is. And so we don't do anything more than that here. We take everything you say serious, and we dissect it, and we always, I believe, come to the same agreement in terms on things. Congratulations to Chief Voorhees, and great job, Dave. Everybody, I just want to say, Dave, we don't say great job, Dave, enough, so I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for the great work on that.
I could see Dave's head growing tonight.
Oh, my God. I'm going to tell you something. Did you see him sitting up front here, Councilman?
I know,
Did you see him? He was all like this. He was all shaking and stuff over this. That's what a good guy does, he says. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. He's
I
sitting
just-
back there.
I just hope everyone had a Merry
Winnie's
Christmas
turn.
and a Happy New Year. And Dave, thank you very much. We're gonna miss Ron, but we got a brand-new chief. I have confidence that he will do a great job, and their officers will also support him like they have Ron. And I wanna say thank you to all our staff. They work diligently, they work hard, and they love this town, whether the public realizes it or not. They love this town and they love working for this town, and they don't get enough thank yous. And I just want to thank every one of them, and I hope all of you citizens had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
All right. Miss Teresa Bass.
I also want to say Happy New Year, and we got a lot of people that have been shifting over the last couple months, couple of them leaving us, couple new ones coming on. Good job, Dave. Look forward to working with Chief Voorhees. Not just our staff, I think, has done a awesome job, but it's the volunteers that go out to all the committees as well, such as the planning boards and the recreational boards. Everybody works together as a community. Also to the utility department and to our fire department, everyone that helped put up all the Christmas decorations. If they didn't blow down yesterday, they're never gonna blow down. So I'm glad to see everyone here. And I just want to make one statement stating that when something changes from the C1 to the MU, like they want to do, they are investing more. I've seen it happen to other structures in town, to where it might have been a little apartment condo at one time that was ran as a whole. And when you have those individual owners to where they're more invested, I have seen to where they have made it look so much more presentable. And I hope that is what happens to Tiffany's, that it becomes just a more pleasant site, and that all the homeowners around it are pleased with the outcome. I do know that the planning board did spend a lot of time working on that the last month, and hopefully within the next 30 days, y'all will see that, I think it's going to be a good project. Thank you.
Right. Okay. All right, Mr. Buddy.
Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I don't have too many remarks. Wish everyone a happy new year and a safe new year. Appreciate and thank those that came with their concerns today and brought them forth in the public comment section. As some of my colleagues up here said, you may not think we listen or we hear. It may look dumb, but we're not dumb. But thank you for your comments, and I hope that we can reach a resolution. As Ms. Batt said, generally as a whole, things have a way of aesthetically pleasing and getting done when people work together, and I think that's going to happen in this case too. I certainly hope so. That's what I look forward to. With the Chief Voorhees, I want to thank him, and I'm looking forward to his leadership team that he establishes in the police department and working with them as well. We have a great town staff, city staff, in all departments. They do an amazing job. Whenever you and I were too afraid to get out in the cold, I mean, you may not have been, but I was too afraid to get out in the cold with that wind cutting like it was, we actually had staff members out working. And that says a lot. To me, that means a lot. And their pride in the town of Surf City and the pride in the job they do is astounding. And I want to thank them for that. And Dave, you and your team, way to go, buddy. Good job. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
That all you got?
That's it.
Okay, well, like I say, I'm with Buddy. I tell you, that report tonight, I mean, when they hadn't got anything they want to tell you that you need to correct, then that is a good report. I don't know. That we needed to correct, and I think that was,
It's the
that's,
first one I remember.
you know, the
Yeah,
town
me
has,
too.
the town has done an excellent job. So,
When you don't let them spend money, it's easy to keep the books
that's right,
clean.
you're tight, I know that. But, well, we can't say that, because look at all we've got. I mean, we're spending a ton of money, but we're just making sure that we've got it to spend. And we're not jumping out there and spending it before we get it. So that's the main thing. I mean, anybody that's been in business know you got to spend money, but you got to make money to spend it. So that's what Dave's looking at. He's looking at the money coming in, right, Dave? And then he might let a little bit of it go out the other door too. He might, but we had to keep some of it, and our fund balance has kept going up, right? And that's what we need to do, because everything else is going up over here. So you got to keep that fund balance going up so you can match those other prices of stuff that's going up. But, and then getting back to Tiffany's, yeah, I mean, the zoning, you know, you always have to go back and look at zoning again, because what you zone now may not be the right zone, you know, 20 years from now, because that property might have changed hands and been completely done different. So that's why we have it. But this way gives you a chance to work on it and make sure everything is right before it is approved. Okay? And we try to work with everybody, the businesses and the homeowners and everybody else, just to keep everybody happy. But we appreciate Amy and her crowd back there. They do an excellent job. They have a lot of work to do. I'm going to tell you, if you've ever seen all the paperwork that they have to go through, and most of it we never see because they handle it. But anyway, we appreciate that. And it's not just Amy, it's the whole planning board. And so anyway, like I say, I just hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And like I say, we are off to a fantastic new year. I know that 2022 is going to be a wonderful year for Surf City. And that's just going to make us feel that much better. And everybody smile and be happy. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to the attorney and make sure he ain't got any bad news for us.
I don't have him. I'm worn out.
Susan done wore him out.
And I haven't spoken with Kyle about this, and we may not even have any eligible programs, but the 2022 NC Land and Water Fund grant cycle's open. They plan to award $75 million this year. That's more than they have in the last decade on a yearly basis. Kyle, we probably need to look at that and see if we have anything eligible that's really stormwater and things of that nature.
Yeah,
I think we need at least 10 million of it.
Yeah, well, this, we just tapped into this fund for the new park land project, and I believe Mr. Merritt already had some things cooking for this upcoming application period.
Right.
But thank you, Brian, for.
Just wanted to make sure
Okay.
you knew I was doing my homework.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Chief Shanahan. I've known him for roughly 20 years. He was a public servant, and he served this town well. And I welcome Chief Voorhees. I've known him for probably 8 years, if he's still here. I believe he will follow in Chief Shanahan's footsteps. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a good New Year, and that's the end of my report.
Okay. Do we have any other reports? If not, do I have some kind of motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Up. Yes, sir.
You were late. You don't get to talk, Will. You were late.
I really do understand, but I must, if you would just bear with me, today was a very tough day for me. I was dealing with a funeral. I was dealing with a scare of COVID yesterday morning. I just left the doctor's office. I mean, I was wide open. Thank God that no one even saw me. I hope they didn't, but I regret I wasn't even here for whatever. I believe as I walked in, they told me that you missed your sworn in. I said, oh God. So I don't know where that stands, but I must say to you, I felt that I need to at least come to you and explain what went down with me, where I was, and I am okay. I'm COVID-free, so I had the doctor. I've been through EKG, CAT scans, and everything else for the last hour and a half prior to getting here. So.
Well, thank the Lord for that.
Absolutely, without a doubt, But I thought I don't know what, again, after not making it here for the swearing in, I don't know. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
well,
we spent most of the day getting people out, retiring them, and then bringing new ones in, so.
Okay, well, again.
That's what most of the day was.
I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear as to what happened to me, and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, you're fine.
I'm glad to
We'll,
see you.
we'll look after you.
Okay, well, that was my point, and I
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right. All right,
We stand adjourned.
we stand adjourned. Okay. Oh.
We don't